Welcome to the Enlighten podcast, where I am going to take you into a deep exploration of what it means to exist in this current reality. We are going to raise your vibes, open your mind, expand your heart, and dive deep into the wondrous mysteries and possibilities of this lifetime. There's been a spiritual catalyst that has set in motion the awakening process of many across the globe to return to the knowingness of self and unite what has been separated. Together, we're going to bring light into that darkness. We're going to remember the joy of living. But most of all, we're going to turn up the volume of our own eternal power and do the thing we're here to do. Hey everyone, welcome back to another full moon rundown on the Enlighten podcast with no other than our most beautiful mystic and seer, Mary Dusina. We are going to be talking about this full moon in Cancer. Of course, we are starting off the new year. This is our first moon, and it is our most potent moon because the moon loves to be in Cancer. And who other better than two ascendant Cancers to give you the lowdown on this moon? Mary, hello, my love. How are you doing today?
Hey, all blessings to you. May we all enjoy the resplendent wellness and prosperity of this new year, 2025, a 9-year, the green wood snake year, and the Chinese New Year that happens at our next new moon at the end of this month. And it's a wonderful time for us right up front when we're thinking about a new door that's open called My 2025, how we can move more with a feeling, not just the words, but the feelings of gratitude that we made it. Number one, we made it through 2024. A lot of people didn't. And that as we are embracing the blessings of the three wise men coming out of that season of Epiphany and moving into this year of doors that need to close because there are bolder, brighter portals in energy alignments that will open in this very, very significant year of 2025. It's going to be one of our reference years, so to speak.
Yes. I mean, one thing you can absolutely guarantee yourself is you're going to experience a lot of change this year. And, when we're talking about the full moon in Cancer, it is, it's the, oh my God, why did I just, it's not a fixed sign. It's not a mutable. It's the
cardinal.
Oh yeah,
yes,
the cardinal. It's a cardinal sign. So it's all like, those signs love change, right? Adaptability and starting things. So with this particular full moon in Cancer, I don't know if you guys have been feeling that Mars-Pluto opposition, especially our Leos out there in the audience. I know Mary wants to kind of talk to you all about what our Leos might be going through, because I think they've been experiencing a good brunt of this. Of course, any of you who have a lot of planets in Leo, especially in the earlier degrees, you will likely be feeling this as well. But, that Mars-Pluto opposition, do you want to just kind of briefly talk about like why? Because what we're seeing, at least in the world, is we're seeing a lot of like, okay, we saw a lot of planes catching on fire, right? Like engines blowing up or, going into buildings. And on all that nature, we've seen, there's been talk about like the New Year's Day, the different kind of potential terrorist attacks, and then also finding like bomb threats in a lot of different areas, which is, very Mars opposite kind of Pluto energy. And also, just this energy has been causing a lot of tension among maybe within yourselves. You guys, you've been seeing the tension in your relationships, your family, your coworkers, on the road. So Mary, why don't you just kind of let everyone know, because, this moon does involve Mars.
Well, a couple of things you have to add to when we're dealing with the celestial soup. We have to, in astrology, we do a lot of what mystics call timeline jumping. we have reference points of when was the last orbital cycle that the nodes change sign, or how long does it take Mars what was the last time Mars was doing this particular run through that zodiac sign. And so this is why astrologers give us these little reference point. And when we're looking at our own chart, it's really good to get yourself a little piece of paper and write down, okay, Mars goes through the whole zodiac in about 2 years. So we look at Mars starts this year, and we'll talk about the Mars Pluto thing, but Mars retrograded right there on the, like around the 6th, 5th, 6th, depending on your time zone, in the sign of Cancer. We're going to talk about, like Nicole said, the element that it is. It's water, the style of how it will express itself, which is cardinal, what zodiac sign Mars actually governs, which is Aries, which brings in the fire element, the bomb element, the war element, the aggressive, impatient, frustrated element, because Aries is the first sign of the Western zodiac. Aries is the first fire sign, and Aries is the I am. So one of the base level type of spiritual applications we can do is, what are we saying in our self-talk, in our what are we putting after those words I am? And whether that's somebody said, I'm so tired of that, I'm so fed up with that, I'm so over that, I'm so happy about that, I'm so grateful. So if we can, Cancer is a zodiac sign, is very emotional, and so it's all the feels. So as we can begin to embrace and move into what makes I am at peace, I am content. This is a soft moment, and I am happy about that. We had coming right out of the New Year's Eve 2024 into New Year's Day, January 1st of 2025, we had, most astrologers will talk about two rather tempestuous, explosive, unpredictable type of things. When Mars will oppose either Uranus, or when Mars will oppose Pluto. Pluto is Hades. Pluto is the natural ruler of Scorpio, and so it has to do with secrecy, intention. If something has got an espionage element to it, or an alphabet agency, CIA or FBI gets involved, it has a lot to do with pent up over a course of time types of frustrations. And if we look at just the comparison of the horrors that happened in New Orleans, the rented car from that Toro, the truck that came in with the ISIS flag. When we look at now, they've made the connection as we're coming into the mid part of January of the Tesla that became combustive, and they suspect now that person shot themselves right before that car exploded in front of the Trump Hotel in Vegas.
Yeah.
That those vehicles.
Even if it was that person, we don't even know if it actually was that person. It could have been anyone.
Exactly. What they are saying so far, and it's all subject to change. It's alphabet soup and psyops and all that. So far, what they're saying is that those two vehicles were rented from the same place, Now, and that, even though there was an ISIS flag and people jumped to assumptions, that particular person in New Orleans, so far they say, had served in the military and had gone, blah, 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 overseas, and apparently had done videos like that. What I'm trying to express is that pent up overtime ideology. I think the term they like to use is whether someone gets radicalized into a plus or a minus, this or that, black or white, there or here type of a movement, to where when you think about the psychological intensity of whether you want to call them conspiracy theorists or latent terrorists, what the momentum that drives someone to not only carry out something that, they've decided in some kind of way is the right thing to do, but they're actually also facing that ideology and embracing it enough that they will literally commit suicide in doing it, that they fully prepared to be shot and to die. So you get into Pluto being the lord of the undercurrents, what's at the bottom of the ocean, what motivates someone to fight or flight, what makes someone say, I'm willing to defend my belief so much it may kill, that the country song, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, kind of a thing. So it's that full 100%, that's it, I am going in. on this. And so they're committed to the ride. The Mars element is whether it's explosive or vehicles ramming into someone, mowing people down, planes catching on fire, as Nicole mentioned, and such. And look at the mystery, if you will, mystery question mark exclamation point of all these drones that everybody's
Yes.
been seeing centered around New Jersey and New York. And I just just a little bit that I know from my dad having a full government career with NASA and stuff like that. We know exactly what's going on. We're just deciding not to inform the public. I personally have a feeling that there's been some kind of like deal struck. Remember, Pluto has to do with the deep-seated backroom deals. And if you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. So I feel like there's something to do with I don't know that for sure. My spidey senses and having a lot of Scorpio in my chart, there's some kind of a real secretive kind of, I'm going to do this until the next people take charge kind of a thing. And I believe it's gathering. I somehow I keep tying it, Nicole, to those white balloons, those supposedly white Chinese balloons. I think that this is like phase 4 or 5 of that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, and that it's
Well,
gathering information.
here's the really interesting thing so everyone understands, because remember, Mary said, Mars is that combustible, it's heat, it's fire, it's explosions, it's war, conflict,
Yep.
violence. And then, Pluto, she said, whenever it's opposed Pluto or Uranus, well, what is it? The ruler of Aquarius, which is where Pluto is. So it's
Yes.
kind of got a bit of a double whammy going on here with it opposing Pluto in Aquarius. Now, when we think about the drones, it's kind of Mars energy in a sense because, they're what they're seeking, what I think they're seeking is they're looking for heat or something that might be of nuclear or weapon kind of material. So that would be very Mars-like. And then, of course, where the drones are in the sky, which is very Aquarius, right? But also, why are the drones also in the sky? I don't believe it's just that. I do believe that there's also, you can't discount that so many people have seen these orbs,
Yes.
which
Yes.
very much relates to the Aquarian energy. And Pluto is all about the secrecy, the truth, things that are hidden. And so, we're getting so much all at once that it's very hard to really know what the heck is actually going on. Trying to actually think you can figure it out is probably not your best path right now. It's just kind of like, just keep observing, stay alert, and stay out of a lot of public places
Oh, well,
while
what it does, it drains you. It drains people to be in this. We've learned this since 2020. It both divides and scatters and dilutes our divine alignment energies if we allow ourselves to get glued into or addicted into or hooked into this constant public fear platform, like don't relax, don't do this, there's germs out there, run, the sky, it's the very ancient, the sky is falling, what can you do? It's falling out of the sky. And I hearken back to, we're also at solar maximum cycle 25. This is the year 2025, and we're having X-class flares, and we're having Earth facing coronal mass ejections, solar storms. We've got Comet Atlas is aligning to where it's supposed to be very much more visible for those of you that live in the outback in the southern hemisphere, right after sunset around the 12th and the 13th of January, at the time of this most powerful by sign and by element Cancerian full moon. Comet Atlas is there. We've got planets lining up. There's going to be 6 planets, then eventually 7 planets lining up the closer we get to in the
February.
sky.
Wait, yeah, what day
Yeah,
is it
from
in
January.
February that we're having that all the planets line up in the sky?
It starts, they align in the night sky in January 2025. They're visible for 4 weeks. They start to lead up to joining the alignment on the 21st, right after we slipped into, of course, Aquarius in 2025. And then they stay in this alignment for about 4 weeks, which does indeed take us into the bulk of February. So
Okay.
it's Venus and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn and Neptune and Uranus. So with the naked eye, we'll be able to see Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. But we'll need, like the binoculars or high-power binoculars or telescopes, of course, to see Neptune and Uranus. So I've been saying for all year, those of you that have been listening to Nicole and I, that once Pluto got into Aquarius, once we had that as we saw that energy coming in around November 19th of 2024. I'm telling you, from the aurora borealis that was so bold
Mm-hmm.
in May of
Mm-hmm.
2024, all this stuff, the orbs, the energies. I feel that the Aquarian kick is when we had this opposition. It's never just one day. It's what Nicole and I are wanting to teach you. It blooms. Energy increases and blooms. It was exact on the 3rd of January. But some people, depending on your time zone and your signs, it's like, watch out in crowds. Things indeed did happen from New Year's Eve on into the 4th, 5th. Besides New Orleans and besides, was it somewhere overseas too? Was it England? There was something else that went on over there, and so it's so hard to keep track of it that I'm going to be incredibly honest. Like, I don't want to. I just want to pray
Yeah,
for
I
peace. I mean,
know.
it's like I'm just cutting to the chase, saying, beloved Creator, beloved Goddess, great I Am, protect all the innocent, feed all that are hungry or thirsty. Let them come into the alignment with the light. And I believe the way that we conquer this is that we focus on the higher octaves of light, and that we remember to keep our hearts more focused on, we're all Earth citizens. We're all creatures on our beautiful Mother Earth, and we do automatically have signature skill sets to plug into the divine. We have free choice to do that. So the higher octaves of Aquarius throughout 2025 and then some is going to be that we have more of an immediate result manifestation as we focus in Aquarius's polarity sign, its opposite sign of Leo, the heart chakra, the power, the eyes of the heart, the brave heart. Then as we focus on what's the best, better version of myself that loves, that lets kindness be king, that lets kindness be king, then whether we're going through a particular financial challenge or a medical issue or supporting someone else through a breakaway or a divorce or a death of something or someone in their life, as we are disciples of light with our high heels or boots on the ground or bare feet on the ground, then we're there to step in and be that peaceful anchor, that soul anchor for those of us in our orbiting community. It's not just clients, it's got to do with the people that fate and destiny put you around. And with these nodes, the north nodes haven't changed, with the north node being in Pisces and the south node being in Virgo since the summer of 2006 into 2007. So kind of write that down.
Mm-hmm.
Who was important in my life? What was I focused on? What were my top 3 priority intentions? Who was moving around me? What was I moving away from? What was I moving more into? And just look at how in 2006 and 2007, your level of understanding, compassion, empathy, and being able to rise up over obstacles and challenges, whatever was presented to you at that
Yeah.
time, to be able to be an overcomer. That's what's coming to us in this year. And I believe that all of us, those that allow the spirit, the great spirit, the resounding soul star, the spirit of peace and prosperity, the more that we allow that to be the director of our lives, there's going to be incredible miracles and sightings and healings, and you're going to have evidential experiences, out of body experiences with your angels and your guides, higher versions of yourself. Indeed, there will absolutely be more supernatural events and happenings that won't just be AI or Grok or Chat, GPT. No, we're literally going to have, I don't think it's just extraterrestrial contact, Nicole. I think it's going to be ultra terrestrial. Like, we're really going to have some mouth opening, jaw dropping, eye opening, like, my God, it's real. My
No, I
angels
know, I
are real.
know. Yeah, that's why I said, like, you just expect to be surprised and shocked. Shock and awe
Yeah,
is going
yeah.
to be a very
Shock and awe.
common theme this year. Like, no, don't think you know. Don't think you know
Nope.
because you're the one who's going to be the fool in the end of it all. Because you won't be prepared.
Or the
But
wise man,
before,
or like we're trying to urge people to do. It's not going to work to be the control freak this year.
yeah,
It's not going to work. You have to be, to Nicole's point, signs and wonders, shock and awe, but not to create panic, fear, or pain in our life or loss. But the shock and awe is like, we're right here. We're creating the evidence of the things that you just wondered if they were true before. It's like things not yet felt, not yet seen. The whole recipe, the whole medicine of faith as a fuel, it's going to evidence itself this year, to hold the faith and divorce the fear.
Yes, yes. So before we move on to more of this full moon in Cancer, just can you kind of speak to what Leos might be going through, and if we've got any Leo friends in our circles, maybe we can, extend a little bit of compassion.
Absolutely. I told Nicole I feel the most tender sign, because remember, we do these cycles every 28 and a half to 30 days. The full moon comes around. This is the wolf moon. And part of the reason that a lot of indigenous cultures, even the Gaelic pronunciation of the way they say wolf in their language, is because the wolves mate and the wolves are louder between January and March of a given year in the areas that they're prolific. So they're mating and they're howling. And wolf spirit totem has to do with both the teacher and the teaching in most First Nations people's teaching. So we're at the North Point here in the Northern Hemisphere on the medicine wheel. And the north part of the medicine wheel, the direction of the north is buffalo. Some cultures will say white buffalo. And it's the time of the year from Yuletide or winter solstice, that third week in December, until we come to Aries in the third week of March annually every year. Then we begin again. We have the resurrection and the birth and the new child. So we are at an ancestral teaching, learning, cleansing, clearing, releasing cycle until we come to March of 2025. Leos, this is their most tender full moon, and Cancer is the sign before the sign of Leo. We have Cancer ruled by the moon. Leo is governed and ruled by the sun. So we're involving the luminaries here. And so we have a full moon in her home sign, the oceanic, the high tides, the low tides of life. It's cardinal. The sign of Cancer begins at summer solstice. So it's all about the feels, and it's all about what defines family and what defines our deepest, most powerful lessons through intimacy, whether it's our family, our own home base, those that we choose to merge with. And so while Mars is also in this sign, Mars and Cancer very close to this full moon at 23 degrees of Cancer. When Mars retrograded on January 6th, and it's going to be dealing with that sign of Cancer, even though it'll go direct in February, until April 18th. So for Leos, that's it's been 2 years, Leo, since you've had to really confront, release, and allow the fated changes that are meant to be to further expand and strengthen your heart, your gratitude, even if that's the breakup you're going through, the passing of someone special in your life, and those moments, those freeze frame, rare moments when we're holding that animal in our arms that's elderly and needs to be released, and we're at the vet, or a loved one is passing away, a grandparent, a partner, an unexpected, untimely, seemingly exit of a relationship or a person from our life. So Leos are going through fated exits and endings. Therefore, it's like a death and a rebirth for our Leo comrades. So since Leo is the sign ruled by the great star of the sun, I find that Leo is a teacher to many people by what they have to strengthen themselves and what they're going through. And I will say that of all 12 signs, Leos right now and Capricorns are going through the most significant cycle to rise above sadness, to be able to actually learn from the past and not be downtrodden because they're having a hard time letting go of the past or someone or something that seems to be out of their control, to be able to micromanage. We humans, we tend to get, pretty cocky, thinking we can control what's going on if we have enough money or we have enough love, we have enough this. And so when there's that unexpected card played, sometimes we get too wrapped up in the analytics of like, well, I can hire that doctor, or I can go across the country here, or I can go out of the country there, or I'll just give them a space. They'll want me again. It wasn't my fault. They'll come back. But there is, even in tragedy, even in loss, there is so many layers of coming and learning. And, that's why that statement, Nicole, hindsight as 2020. You know, if all of us, if we'll just look back, so what was significant in 2006 and 2007? And then also, Nicole, if we look back 19 years ago from 2025, that takes us into the other cycles as well. We're going back in these cycles. We're going back 2 years. We're going back to 2006 and 2007. And there's so many planets changing sign this year that as we get closer to March, Nicole and I will bloom out each one of them. But suffice to say that for January, I'd like all of us to, number one, to any Leos that you have in your life, those people born between the third week of July and into the third week of August, do something nice for them. You know, be some type of a, hey, I just wanted to bring you a pie, or do you want me to sit with the animal, or do you want to go out for lunch, or can I, I wanted to gift you a grocery food card or whatever, just to take any kind of pressure off of a Leo. Just the littlest, nicest thing that can turn the corners of their mouth up. That would be the sign I would vote for us all to be a tribe of light and to do that, to be encouraging to the Leo people that we know, and to also, even though it's a birthday cycle for our Capricorn sisters and brothers, even though it's a birthday cycle for them, with this Cancerian energy of the full moon, Mars retrograde in Cancer, that's been 2.5 years for our Capricornian people. And they're looking at what significantly has left their life in the last 24 months. Like, who did they lose? What did they lose? And are they coping? Have they lost hope, even though they had to sustain some losses and had to go through that subtraction period of, it's not your fault, you're not to blame, stop shaming yourself. And if you have faith in the Creator, if you have faith in God, if you're moving into the holy frequencies, you can't despair on just the earthly events. I'm not blaming you, I'm not shaming you, I'm just saying there's so many levels and portals and riches of this spiritual essence that we are in this earthly body. You know, we're a spirit in a temple. And the latter part of 2024 into the first week of January 2025, we're certainly bringing it all up to surface. Then we compound that with Mars turning retrograde, wanting us to turn and look again, look at the past with a fresh, different kind of view. And so from January 6th into April 18th, I want you to kind of see as a background influence, like if you go into a new house or a new apartment and you say, I'm going to paint all the walls. I'm going to paint all the walls winter white, let's say. I want all the walls to be a neutral. Okay, so Mars in Cancer is that neutral color that you picked. It's on the walls, and we're going to be adding accents, but that's the foundational color. So our actions, our defense postures are going to be based more on our intuition than on logic. That's where we win. We could find that we are looking at what strongly sways our mood of the moment. What is it that we find ourselves a little more challenged to be objective about? Do we go on the defense too quickly? Are we being impatient? Are we demanding of our external people or circumstances to make us happy? We may also feel a little more withdrawn, less inclined to take assertive action, unless, of course, we feel defensive or threatened in some way. And that's when the sign of Cancer the Crab can quickly attack and pinch. So it means that we're collectively, and I think as individuals, we're in a soul classroom right now to learn more from what are the energies and blooms of Cancer the Crab. You know, where is my summer? If I'm going through winter right now and I'm longing for the beach, I'm longing for the warm sunshine, I'm longing for a little bit of that isolation time at the beach bar or by myself or just to restore myself. With Mars and Cancer, we're called, Cancer has to do with memories, how memories shape our right now. So Mars and Cancer is saying review your actions and your emotional driven reactions of the past couple of months, and especially since mid-October. So how do we respond? When did we feel vulnerable or fearful? Did we go into a fight, flight, freeze frame mode? The shadow side of Cancer is to pull back and go, what made them just say that to me? Did we react in anger, or did we want to attack? Did we feel attacked? Or did we use Cancer the Crab's gift of being able to sidle, to go sideways, to step to the side and into the light, to allow for a better objectivity and to gain a different, higher type of perspective? So if I had to define it as a test, and especially for Leo, in Capricorn. It's a different kind of way that we're being strengthened. And even though our efforts can't be all directed or controlled, we could burn ourselves out quickly. Mars, our energy frequencies, our will to do, our will to take action, it's backing up in the reticent sign of Cancer already. It's almost as if, Nicole, we're moving in reverse as we revisit these issues of the past, but part of breaking away from our traditional embedded cellular habits and patterns involves that intensified push, Mars, to uncover family matters, memories, sources of stress that have, in the past, made us feel unstable, unsafe. So we all of us have these signs in our chart somewhere. So we need to do what we need to do to examine and visualize and understand a deeper understanding of our core issues and expect increased sensitivity. That's okay. That means you're doing it right if you have an increased kind of sensitivity about it. And perhaps when we start to get angry or we start to feel the tears, that they seem to come out of nowhere, but there's really some dialogue going on with that, even if it's internal. So it can kind of sometimes blur our thoughts. Lies are difficult to separate from the truth. When we get Mercury and Neptune squaring, we can have, here's the bountiful way you'll learn, dreams, meditations, declarations, ceremonies. They initially may feel like an empty reaching out, but it's better to actually take an active Mars, step into a more objective way of learning about your inner world, your inner life, instead of the escapist dynamic of, I don't want to look at it. I'll enable it because I really want to avoid it. And that creates a different kind of psychological restlessness, I think. So that period leading up to this full moon and on into the next new moon, the Chinese Lunar New Year, I really like the energy of the 21st to the 29th. So it's like we're in a classroom of, it's a new year, it's Capricorn. Where's my ambition? What's my spiritual ambition? How can I allow the great source of love and light to have more of, to take the lead over just the style of thinking that I have? Where can I allow the will of the divine will, my divine alignment? How can I sweep myself clean and clear and allow that divine cleansing, whatever that might be for you? How can I allow myself more solitude, taking more time for myself? Let me rebuild my inner world and look at my tools of self-discovery and self-empowerment, because this, I'm telling you, this is the full moon, and this 2 weeks of January, the 13th into the 30th or the 29th, is the most prosperous time of the year for us to do that. It's like we're in league with flowing with the signs and self-nurturing and looking at if our parents or our children are trying to pull us into those old patterns of our family. It's where we just go, no, 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 been there, done that. Here's a reset.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with this full moon in Cancer, for all of you out there, this is happening at 23 degrees, 59 minutes of Cancer. And it's, of course, with Mars retrograde, it will be pretty close to this full moon. So Mars is definitely influencing this full moon in Cancer. And so I just want to kind of go over some themes, some positive and negative traits, some of the shadow elements, like that kind of thing. And then Mary's going to come in and give you more of a her mystic perspective on this particular full moon, with it being so close to Mars. And with I mean, Mars has been the number one topic here for all of us for months now, and will continue to do so. So whenever with this particular full moon, you're going to be finding some of the positive traits for you guys, or things that come from this are you're going to be finding, maybe looking for some inner strength, discovering inner strength, your inner passion, some kind of vitality that's really found deep within you. You may also have this deep desire or impulse to bond and connect, whether it's connect with your inner world, connect with those close to you. You'll also have a lot more energy and activity potentially in your home. And it's also very much stimulating to your emotional life. So, again, with that Cancer in the moon, it's all about your inner world, right? And Mars is all about how you take action outwardly, but it's retrograde. So there's a double inner kind of energy that's attached to this particular full moon. Now, on the negative side of this full moon, which could potentially come up for you, depending on how it's affecting your chart, you definitely may have a tendency towards those sharper reactions because Mars is very cutting. And, Cancer and Mars in Cancer can be very reactionary. So know that you may find that you have a tendency towards sharp reactions or even outbursts. Again, attitudes will be a little fiery, a little spicy. So watch out for the attitude. And then also, because Cancer rules our family, you may find that there's conflict or anger with family members or within the family, or maybe there's things that are coming up that are surfacing to, finally that things are brought into the light because this is a full moon, it's a culmination. So those are kind of like just the positive and negatives of, when the moon and Mars are together, particularly when it's a full moon as well, it's going to be intensified. Now, themes that you can find with this particular moon, just on the Mars and moon theme alone, is again, it's like a fighting spirit, like you're really driven from your inner world to fight for something. You may also find that, if you've been needing that desire to commit emotionally to something in order for you to take action, you could find that emotional commitment to the actions you want to take. There's also Mars is a very direct planet. And so we could also see some sort of emotional directness or even emotional sincerity coming through with this moon. And then also, this is Cancer rules the mothers, right? So this is also a time where we may see, like, if you're a mother or there's mothers in your life, which many of us have, and just collectively as well. This is where the mothers become very passionate and protective. And then again, remember, from a mundane perspective, which is more worldly, the moon equals the people, right? The sun equals our leaders. The moon represents the people. Well, so when you have Mars coming together with the people in Cancer, which is very domestic, this is where we may see a rise of people becoming very passionate about their homeland. So there could be some sort of events that are arising over the next couple of weeks that are triggered. They may not be completely solved, but there's something's coming to the light here where that's going to be coming through. Now, the shadow aspects of this energy are that it, like Mary said, the Cancer involves your memories. So activation of past emotional patterns. This could be something that you're really looking to finally release. Like, you know what? I'm done with this. I do not want to be activated from these past emotional patterns anymore. So maybe wanting to clear that out. Mars, cut that out. Again, upsets, outbursts, boiling tempers are definitely themes. And anger can often be directed inward. So be compassionate with yourself. Again, family violence or conflict can also come up around this time. So we have some very beautiful aspects to this full moon that are softening it. But Mary, what do you want to say about just the Mars moon connection?
Well, I first off, find the water signs in your chart. Like, regardless of what your sun, moon, and rising sign is, find where our grandmother moon is wanting to bring the waters up in our body, whether we're wanting to run and sweat more, go to a spa, get a massage, let the tears flow, find that we're wanting to do a type of detox thing. So Mars urges us to clear out that which is stagnant. Mars wants to move the stagnation away from us. And the moon in Cancer is saying to you, number one, whether we're, biological male or female, do you feel nurtured? Are you able to, you say that you want to be petted and loved and held and snuggle up on the couch and do a binge of movies or video games or whatever, but do you give that outward to those people that matter most to you? So it's all of us can improve both our self-nurturing, self-care rituals, making time for ourselves, as well as how we then realize, wow, that pedicure felt really good. I'm going to rub my child's foot or my significant other's feet, their back, their neck. I'm going to do just tender, soft. See, Cancer's about the soft moments. Cancer's about bloom where you're planted, feel your safe space, your safe space. And so with this energy, especially when we have Venus in Pisces, the water signs are Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. So this month, like around the 20th, 21st, when the moon goes through Scorpio, when Venus and Saturn align over the 18th, and then we have the moon pop into Scorpio on the 20th this month, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, we're going to find that we have some real intuitive empowerment. And wow, that dream symbol, I'm going to look that up. What did it mean to dream of that white owl following me in the tree? And why did I dream of that relative, that friend, or whatever, that animal that was passed, that is passed into the Great Spirit? And I heard a statement that was really interesting in a cultural film that I saw called The Forge. It's very inspirational. And part of the outtakes of the film, this one guy said part of his reference point in the script was whenever he wanted to revere his ancestors, or he said, whenever you say someone's name, whenever you say someone's name with reverence, it is said in our culture that they are then there in the present. So remembering, back to the north direction of the medicine wheel, Cancer being mother, grandmother, those powerful women in our tribe, how we protected our younger sister, how we protected our siblings, how we had to adjust to the fact if we were the only child. When you're an only child in a family theater, in your childhood theater, you find yourself kind of fascinated and watching how other friends and families operate that have a whole bunch of kids. It's like you kind of look at it like, how do the parents deal with that, and the pecking order of the siblings? So this is really about the inner child. We've got Mars doing this dance between Cancer, the matriarch, the main planet, the main sign of what mothered us and gave us life and birthed us, our birth biological lineage. And then we have it coming back into Leo again like it once did. So once the Cancerian thing, once it goes direct in late February, it's going to be in Cancer until April 18th. These are maternal. These are the females that have influenced us in our life. What are the female teachers that you remember in school? Who are your female life coaches? Was there a female doctor, a male nurse, and a female doctor? Who were the females in your life that really made an impact that helped you course correct? That's what we're going to be seeing well into
Yes.
March, the end of March. So I feel like that the Cancerian element is beyond whether you arrive to your male or female. What nurtures you? How do you feel nurtured? How do you give nurturing? It's more than just what's one of 5 love languages, Nicole. It has more to do with what do I crave when I feel safe in my own space, and what would make me feel more artistically relaxed at home. A lot of us will be redoing some things in our apartments, in our homes, or I'm going to do traveling more I'm going to go with someone special to a place. So I create a memory, Cancer, the moon. I'm going to create an emotional impact memory that's going to be a very healing, healthy, I deserve it, he deserves it, she deserves it. We're going to create a memory, and it's going to be more to do. We're going to see much more face-to-face in the first half of this year, and less texting, less emails. I believe the pendulum's swinging the other way with these nodes going into Pisces, Virgo, with Venus in Pisces right now. I believe that Mars will only make it into Sagittarius at the end of 2025. So these are face-to-face, personal. I want to see your eyes. I want to feel your aura. I want to be in your presence. I want to sit at the campfire with you. I want to cook for you. I want to sleep with you. I want to clean house with you. I want to help your life be easier. I want to be your partner in action, not just on cyberspace.
Yes, yes. And I'm so glad you brought up like the female leaders and things of that nature, because that is something. Expect, like, really kind of keep your like, you don't have to keep your eyes peeled or your ears peeled like back, but expect to, or be on the lookout for females who rise up in the face of conflict to spur some sort of community or bring like groups together that align either spiritually or philanthropically, like to for a greater cause for helping the underdog, right? Because this is very much about like, well, this moon is or at least is in a nice trine to Neptune, and Mars is on a perfect trine to Neptune, and so it's really bringing this, it's driving up this idea of like, it's time to fight for the underdog. It's time to help those who need the help, like, so people are going to be stepping up. And then because with Mars in Cancer, expect, especially over the next 3 to 4 months, to see some, not just one, but several females rise to the occasion to be a leader of that nature that are bringing the courage forward, spurring courage within others to do so. I think that's going to be very much something that comes forward.
Well, to your point, when we think about the Attorney General that's been selected, Pam Bondi, out of Florida. I lived in Florida when Pam Bondi was getting going. She's a Scorpio. She's a November Scorpio. Florida was incorporated under a Pisces sign. The state's birth date was when it's officially incorporated. So those of you that go online and do a search of some Pisces and Virgo locations, like Florida is a Pisces state. California is a Virgo state. You're going to start to see more news and bigger events come out of there. So with Mars in Cancer, water sign, Saturn in Pisces still until we get further into this year, Neptune in Pisces still until we get into mid-spring going in toward the summer months. We've still got this Pisces energy being amplified on January 11th when the North Node shifts from the 18 and a half months it spent in Aries Libra. Now it's moving into Pisces. So the water signs in our personal nativities, our personal star maps, the water signs take center stage the first half, well into mid-spring of this year. So look at our year is opening up with Cancer being emphasized. So go find the Cancerian sign in your chart. What is that house in your chart? And this moon is lighting that up for the first and strongest by sign, moon ruling Cancer, of 2025. It's a signature. It's a signature of what the water signs, because they're all compatible to this, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, are saying, here's your new work. Here's your new work for soul expansion. Here's your new work for psychological liberation. Here's your new work to allow your higher self to then incorporate with your inner child. And so therefore you're moving in more of a compatible congruency as we go into this year. It's like, yes, I'm not harboring resentments. I'm not focused on what happened to me and why it did happen to me, God. I'm moving forward with momentum from my heart, Leo, and my higher mind, my higher self, Aquarius, and all my ancestors and all that loves me in the spirit world, Aquarius, and those frequencies and energies of how I can internally, there's the key, how I can internally at soul level release whatever was embedded in my cellular level of right, wrong, bad, good, shame, blame. So we're releasing our inhibitions. And to do that, we're looking at them, we're at a crossroads, and we're looking at them from the perspective of wisdoms and available resources that we have right now. Cancer is also tradition. Capricorn is also the practicality of our choice, our dedication, our ability to plow through, do the work that's needed to be done. So a lot of times I'll have people, Nicole, that will say, shadow work. I don't want to do shadow work. It might make me cry, or it makes me want to shut down. Well, yeah. And how long are we going to do that? If we're sick and tired of something making us sick and tired, then we'll shift out of that and not be sick and not be tired. We'll strive, but we're going to have to do some footsteps. We're going to have to do the work. We got to move and actually do the daily dedication, or take the seminar or the conference, or do the ceremony and do your prayers and do your intentions, to where you're rewriting that very familiar year after year, month after month of, I always act like this when I get angry. I always act like this when I feel slighted, or I always act like this when I feel rejected. So when we start to kind of understand our pre-programmed responses and defenses, when we just look at it like we're moving into neutral, and we look at those behaviors, then we're not so emotionally plussed or so emotionally triggered by those behaviors. We can start to almost have a sense of humor and go, yeah, you know what? I don't need to be that predictable. I mean, I need to be able to move forward with some, at the age I am, at the place I am in my life, it's okay if I use my emotional intelligence and my spiritual tool set to be able to move beyond just that same very predictable go-to reaction or behavior. And
Yeah.
it's in all of us to
Yeah.
be able
Yeah.
to do that. This is just a great cycle for that. Some years it's not, you know, we're going to be dealing with material things. We're going to need to be focused on work. That's not the first 4 months of this year. The first 4 or 5 months of this year is like, okay, it's okay if you look at your short-term goals and what doors have to close and stop fighting that. Realize that it's only closing, Spirit's only taking someone or something out of your life because its job is done. It's just done. And a better version, a better consciousness of that can emerge now because you're growing. We're always
Yes.
growing. We're always evolving.
And like you said, it's to that effect of the pain of not doing it is now far greater than the pain of actually doing it. So, and when I say doing it, meaning doing the thing you've been avoiding is now less
Yep,
painful than avoiding the thing. So,
exactly.
yeah, so you're going to be seeing that. And also like speaking to this idea of like just kind of transition in with this Neptune trine of Mars and Neptune during this full moon is yes, like Mary said, Pam Bondi is definitely going to be someone who I think is going to be making waves over the next few months. Not, but and obviously I think that's going to continue, but there's going to be some dramatics here. Also Tulsi Gabbard and Sarah Adams, because especially with Sarah Adams and Tulsi Gabbard, like we're talking about like homeland security. We're talking again that Cancer, Mars, like protecting your homeland, protecting children, protecting families.
Yep.
All of those things are going to be coming up. And again, with the moon here, full moon in Cancer, and again, Cancer just is ruled by the moon. So this idea of we're going to see a rise of women leaders bringing people together. Now with Mars trine Neptune here, guys, again, this is going to be spurring a lot of political or social groups to come together to fight for a common goal or cause of that nature. This is definitely going to be coming in. But what I think is also, and this is all very harmonious, right? Like this is a very aligned energy. But we
Yes.
also, the moon is in a perfect sextile almost to Uranus retrograde
Yes.
in Taurus. So with this particular moon, also, like we are going to see something that might be surprising or shocking, but in a way, though, it benefits us, or creates some kind of, I should say, it creates some kind of opportunity or door opens for us to walk through. Like, what do you want to say about the Uranus effect on the moon?
Well, the fact that we've got, it's like you said earlier, the Uranus effect. Uranus rules the unexpected. So we go back to signs and wonders, to behold, shock, and awe. Whenever we have each month, the moon moving through the sign of Aquarius, the moon moving through the sign of Taurus, that's igniting where the planet Uranus and what it rules is lighting up. And so once we start to embrace the fact that the old ways, we're looking back and the old ways can still serve a future good. If my ancestors taught me the best way to grow garlic, I don't care how much high tech is out there. If I want to homestead and I want to grow some garlic, and I learned from my great aunt or my grandmother, you can take store-bought garlic and just stick the bottom of it in a jelly jar filled with water, it'll sprout. And so then right there, I separate those bulbs and I've got all the garlic I need that I can put into the ground or put into little pots in the house. And I didn't spend any more money except that garlic, but some wise woman or someone with some ancient gardening wisdoms, plant wisdoms, helped me holistically because I listened to the old ways. So we're like in a modern based society. And I feel like that what's happening with this Aquarian Taurus dynamic is let's take the best of our past. Let's take the best of our instructional wisdoms that were handed down to us. You know, the indigenous cultures have petroglyphs and cave drawings and pictorial images for a reason. For a reason, like they determined these are important signs, these are important stories. And so our ancestors, some cultures, they don't talk, they hand it down. You know, they're the storytellers, the Aboriginal or the or the native peoples out west that I studied with. So these are the times, these are the times of wonder. These are the times of allowing the best of what a generational or an ideology came up with. How did people come back from that war? What did they learn from that movement or the ideology? Let's take the best of that. Let's take the best. We're going to see a lot with music, totally shifting. We're going to see more ballads and stories and dance and art and creativity. We're going to see incredible messages coming out of theater, filmography. I mean, the whole idea of what Hollywood once produced, I see the violence ending, and I'm seeing the solutions and the higher helpers coming in as part of the theme of that. Like, let's bring the heroes back. Let's bring the heart heroes and the spiritual leaders back in that make a difference for we the people, power to the people. That's Aquarius, the win-win in the future. So I believe that the progression when Mars does its bounce into a direct mode, when it does that in the last week of February and then moves into Leo again in April, that's when our, to me, I mean, my new year starts with Aries because I'm an astrologer mystic, so that third week of March is when I celebrate with Mother Nature the new year. In this country, we celebrate it January 1st, but I know what cycle I'm in. I know I'm in the Capricorn solstice medicine wheel cycle of communing with my ancestors and course correcting my own will and my own intentions and my own ego. So once we get into that part of third week of March and April and Mars dances into the sign of Leo again, these are the cycles of our bold moves. Right now we're investigating. We're wanting to be more heart to heart. We're wanting to kind of declutter our emotions, our psychological cobwebs, do our shadow work, move closer in an intimacy and a union and a bonding with someone that we're deciding to let in to see the curtains of our vulnerability. So we're moving into what and who we allow to get closer to us. We're finding resonant, richer, I believe, hallowed-based, spiritual-based unions and couplings that are going on well into the third week of March. I believe this is about this and they are in my life for a reason. And this is a commitment that I want to explore. This is some time for me. This is some time to see how we are as a team, because Aquarius is about who's on our team to help facilitate the bigger win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also like I feel, with this really nice alignment with Uranus and Taurus to this full
Yeah,
moon, that it's going to bring some kind of breakthrough,
yeah,
for, somehow bring creating some kind of alignment between leaders and the people that are wanting change, wanting to make that change, really looking towards the future of what does have to change from this perspective of we need to protect our families, we need to protect our homes, our homeland. There's definitely something's coming through here that is opening a door of potential breakthroughs. I think for us, that will definitely always breakthroughs are usually quite shocking.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But these are
So
emotional. These are feeling based. These are
yeah,
feeling
but
based. These
here's
are
the other
from
thing
the depths
too.
of us.
The moon's at 23 degrees 59 minutes. So it's just still at 23 degrees. Uranus is at 23 degrees and 23 minutes. So this idea, what is a 23? It's a 5, right?
Yep,
5 is change. And I
yep,
think just change is needed. Things have to change. Like Mary said, you are done. You are done with something, and it starts first with inside of you. It's your internal world. It's your emotional patterns. What drives you emotionally, what inspires you emotionally. Like all of these things, like are really something is done, and it's time for change. So really kind of keep that in mind with this particular full moon in Cancer, because we also like Mary's been saying, the nodes moving into Pisces and Virgo are making very nice aspects to this full moon. So there is something fated about this full moon in many ways, because it's it's bringing in a very natural alignment to where we need to go. It's time to go move out of our comfort zone. We know it's time. There's no more avoiding what we want to avoid. It's about finding solutions where we aren't used to finding solutions. And Pisces is very much, well, we need to be connected. We need to turn to God, spirit, oneness. We need to start with maybe helping others and find compassion and empathy through these actions. All of those things are really feeding into this full moon. So, and of course, because Mars is spending so much time in Cancer, it's really making this full moon a lot more impactful, not just for the 2 weeks that, it kind of follows through with, but um, much longer, it feels like.
Well, we can really willingly embrace. It's actually, I guess I'll say it this way, the manifestation of what we have sweetly, secretly longed for, that we could escape, that we could break away from, that has held us in some form of emotional bondage or limitation, like we didn't leave the relationship or the job because of our fear of a lack of resources, and we just couldn't see the way. I feel like the way is here. And so it's, for some people, it will be dramatic and drastic, and that's it, I'm walking out. That's enough is enough. For others, it will be, let me at least take a look at, why do I feel like I should be living in some type of bondage or punishment or lack of respect or intimidation. So Cancer is also that wounded female, that, the mother that wants to protect her cubs at all costs, and often challenges are visited upon the matriarch or the mother in order to make sure her cubs, her children, are okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe with these nodal changes, it's about getting ourselves out of emotional exhaustion, getting ourselves completely disengaged with psychological toxic scenarios. This is the path out of what hasn't worked. And instead of blaming ourselves, I made a commitment to that job. I made a commitment to that friendship. I made a commitment to that relationship. If something's gone toxic, and if it's you, yeah, you're going to have to correct it. If it's what you've been tolerating and you've secretly been praying that God, the creator, the angels help you find a way. I have to say to you, with Mars in Cancer and the first full moon of this year in league with Venus in Pisces and Uranus and Taurus, and Taurus, Uranus and Taurus also being in alignment with where the sun in Capricorn is, the way is here between now and the end of March. So the answer is here, and we're going to have to summon up that courage to grab up that puppy, that baby, that child, or whatever, and say no to the school board if it's trying to force place things on our kids, or no if somebody's just continuing to lie about us or judge us, and take a stand for what you know to be the higher, better path for you and those that are in your charge. Whether, again, what are we in charge of mentoring or directing? And so Capricorn always demands. Capricorn's negative side is the worst side of Saturn, or Satan type of a thing, the devil card and the tarot. So Saturn is often about people that get accustomed or addicted to bondage or pain because that's all they've ever known, so it became their normal. So the positive side of Capricorn is, if you've had abuse, if you've had shocking things, downtrodden things to where you felt like you were captured or limited or leashed or in bondage, it does take a different kind of mindset to use the strategy of Capricorn, the strategic moves, and to invite in those advisors, those legal people, the forms of authority that can help you find a way out of just what you already know, and only you can answer that. What you already know is too much bondage, too much negativity. It's actually stifling you and your pets, your children, your parents, whatever it is, that so many people are overly worried about you because of what you're tolerating or I'm tolerating. So we have to, I think one of the questions we can put on our vision board is, am I tolerating and allowing positive wellness applications of people, places, and things, or am I making excuses and enabling toxic behaviors and modalities to continue. So the first 3 to 4 months of 2025 is let's all endeavor to at least be open to the idea of, now, what would I, if it's a fantasy, what would I fantasize about being stronger as a soldier of the soul? Am I soul soldiering? What, as Nicole said, my aspirations, my soul aspirations, Mars, my courage, Mars, my bravery to overcome, Mars, and with the support of Capricorn right now. And then right after Capricorn, at the new moon, we have the new moon in Aquarius, and so it's the snake. And so we're shedding the old versions of ourselves literally by the end of this month, by the end of January. So we're beginning we got to look at it first. We got to look at, and what is it that I need to just let go of?
Yes. Yes. And on that note, should we jump into the signs
Yes.
so everyone can get a little rundown?
Yeah, we will, and we'll talk about the house. And please, Nicole, feel free to pop in. So for Aries, we've got an energy dynamic here that Cancer, the crab, if Aries is the first sign, Cancer falls into what we call the fourth house, or the base of the chart, our soul aspirations. It has a lot to do with the Mars going retrograde in Cancer, kind of pushes Aries for a little less external reaction and participation and more of an internal introspection. But I do feel that there's some patience required, which Aries gets so tired of being told to be more patient because it's the most initiating and let's go for it. Let's just jump in the car and go. I'm ready. They're the ones that invite people to the why not experiences. So the introspective energy of Mars retrograde in Cancer is allowing you, Aries, to begin to learn more and trust your intuition more. Those spidey senses, those less about reacting to what someone says or does and reacting to them, and allowing yourself to say, well, this is kind of what I'm feeling. And that dream last night gave me a different kind of viewpoint. And so right now, those signs kind of square off with each other. So you're preparing for a year of growth. I would say the momentum really kicks in for you, Aries, more in mid-February when Venus is in your sign. So right now you're at a point of just getting some things caught up and done. Is what I would say with Aries.
Yeah.
Painting.
Do you want to take a little glass of water there, Mary? Because I can tell. Like,
Thank you. Thanks,
yeah.
Nicole.
Yeah.
So it's more about cleaning internally, cleaning your house, getting affairs in order. It's an inside job for Aries. It's internal. It's an inside job. They bloom more in February.
Mm.
Now, that is not saying that this month doesn't have some very important applications. But if we look at whether our work is external, like there's just the leaves need to be blown. I have to, clear the driveway and get out, or I have to, secure the pipes because winter's here in certain places. There's physical labor could be a little stronger. The actual momentum of getting things done is very active around Aries and its opposite sign of Libra. And I would also say to Aries and Libra, you're coming out of the nodes being in your sign. So the karmic intensity that you had for the last 19 months, not coming back again for, the switch of that will be in 9 years, but you're not going to have the karmic energy in your signs and in your signs of relationships for another 19 years. So I'd like to see Aries and Libra pat themselves on the back and realize that they just went through a kind of ball busting intense 18 and a half months, 19-month cycles subtracted back from January of 2025. So I feel right now with these things in Pisces and the energies, Saturn's going to shift to your sign, Aries, and Neptune's going to shift to your sign when we get into this spring, going into summer phase. We're actually having signs leave a predominance of earth, water, and move into fire, air signs. We've got Pluto in Aquarius. We're going to have things shift more into the intellectual and the creative and inspired and dynamic type of being inventors. We're going to be very inventive when we get in the second half of this year. So it's like Aries, your time will come, but maybe look at what you need to wrap up. And maybe if you've procrastinated a little bit, or you thought something else was going to get into motion quicker than February, March, go ahead and get those lagging details or those projects that still could weigh you down once the snap, crackle, pop of action starts to happen. You're coming in to a very active year, Aries. I'd like to see you tie up the loose ends in January, February before it starts to really be an on-demand cycle for you. And with Taurus, it's more about they're going to manifest wealth. They're going to strategize how they get paid, what's a little too demanding on their skills or their offerings versus Taurus are learning about time management. It's like a woman that sits down and makes a quilt. When she spends months and months and months on the quilt, it's never, as an artist, it's never what that person spent on material, on thread, or the quilt pattern design or the fabric. A lot of times as an artist, as a wood carver, you're never going to get paid for every single hour that you put into the plumbing job or the artistic creation. So for Taurus right now, there's this decision to have to micromanage what makes it worth it for me, and where am I getting resentful. If you're honest, Taurus, where do I feel like I'm feeling a little kind of resentful because I'm giving so much that I'm not managing the give and take. So that's probably the simplest equation or recipe I can give Taurus, because you've got to manage your wealth. Your stars are aligning for financial gain. Absolutely. Uranus is going to move into Gemini. And when it does that, that's a speedier type of application for Taurians to get involved in work that they love. And the old affirmation, do what you love and the money will follow. So it's highlighting the balance between your lifestyle experiences and expenses and your home life requirements. But for Taurus right now, they're happy in the first 3 months of 2025 to allow emotional nurturing and security to be key. Venus in Pisces arriving in January of 2025. She's helping you accept your worth. She's helping you embrace being more in tune with love, being more like when two people get together, spend time together. It's how beautifully a musical instrument can be played. It's the harmony and that joke or that look or that meal or that time where you're both under the moon, to where it's just like, yeah, this is the rich part of life right here. So I feel like that there's a compassionate vibe going on for Taurus. And I feel like that Taurus is reshaping their definitions of what really matters most in this life. They look at how much money they have. Taurus is not going to be dominated so much, as that sign can be, about what the bills are that are owed, what needs to be paid, and how does society measure me as a success if they see me spending money here and my house looks like this and I drive this kind of new car. Yeah, I see that mattering less to Taurus in 2025. Taurus wants to get their solid foundation to do with what matters in their life and their private personal life. And that's what I see key for Taurus this year, is that's the wealth that they're building. If Taurus is focused on their earth life, they're now going to be focused on the emotional bank account, the personal relationship wellness, the credits of that, rather than the debits of what's missing in my life sexually and emotionally and psychologically blending with someone that I have a compatible harmony with. So I like where all this is going for Taurus, because Taurus has had so many ups and downs over the last, 8 to 9 years. It's like, holy moly, I'm okay with things being predictable. I'm okay with things being, that's my solid, that's my go-to. They've got my back. That's my, I can rely on this. That's what Taurus is wanting right now, because there's been a lot of upheaval with that.
Mm.
And if you're Gemini, big rewards are here. Big rewards await. But I feel for Gemini, they've been all over the place. And I feel like that they get too many projects, too much stuff going all at once. It's like a lot of these video games where there's the maze, or you got to hop over the rocks, or you got to slow down and get in between the things flying around in order to go rescue a little bot or go do this or that. So I feel with Gemini, communication is always crucial with Gemini, but sometimes Gemini, you get caught up in telling your stories in the current news events of your life rather than really doing deep listening, which is the balance of your sign. Your opposite sign is Sagittarius. So Sagittarius right now, Gemini's balance sign, is busy allowing the story to unfold, where Gemini is wanting to escape the same old dynamic. Like Gemini right now is searching for the new horizons, the new possibilities, and no disrespect meant to the people that they know or that they're familiar with. It's like Gemini needs some new stimulation. So Mercury's movements this year that we have, especially in March, it's going to suggest that instead of debating or trying to come up with, well, you do this or I do that with the push-pull, I believe that if you'll focus on mental well-being and deeper listening, you'll find that the creativity scale goes up. And so there's the new stimulation that you need. It's like Gemini likes to feel like life is vital, life is active. And so right now with Mars in Cancer, it has to do with don't fly past your mate, don't fly past your children, don't fly past the people that really matter the most in your life, but kind of let them know, listen, I don't mean anything about it, but I just got to go on this trip. I got to go get this done because it's like I've got too many irons in the fire. Gemini needs to kind of tone it down and slow it down. And you have the perfect excuse, Gemini. The holidays are the Thanksgiving and the this and the birthdays and the Hanukkah and the Christmas. So now you can actually escape a bit. But I feel like it needs to be new faces and new places for Gemini, just as an ability not to use all those reference points, the people you always travel with, the places you always go to. Gemini needs less of the familiar and more new, innovative, bold, like I've never been here before. I want to go there with you. If you're Cancer, yeah, you're in the soul spotlight, Cancer. It's the soulmate energy is very strong, very strong. The partner and the partnership path that you have been longing for, that you're meant to be deeply involved with, increases the first half of this year. Absolutely the first half of this year. A career, I believe you'll ask for help if you need it. There's teamwork, there's collaboration, but really, Cancer, I feel like that the first half of 2025 is about, I have a right to my private time. I have a right to grow myself intimately and personally, and therefore by me also being experiential, I'm also able to teach and to guide and to instruct more effectively, because I'm not just operating on my past reference points either. I'm Cancer the crab. I know how to move sideways and back out of things, but I need to be able to crawl into them, take my pinchers down from the upward position to pinch and to bite. I need to put those claws down and enjoy the other crabs in my clan. I need to be able to find that new shelter in the storm, so to speak. So it's bringing past issues for you to revisit, but I also see that you've already escaped them. You've already walked out of that old hermit crab shell. And now what you're doing is based on the new consciousness and the wisdoms that you currently have. You're now creating new places, new beaches, new waves, new tidal surges, new abilities to breathe in, allow, escape, and indulge in. So there's indulgences that are there for the people that have Cancer suns and Cancer moons, and especially Cancer rising signs. It's about where's your happy place, and go brew some tea in your happy place and operate from that point rather than going out to the unexpected or the volatile. Cancer wants to operate. They want to find that nice soul space where they have their security and they have their soft moments, and then operate from there. Lots of Cancers will choose to operate from home more than an external place right now because of comfort. Leo, we mentioned, Leos are in a very tender time until we get to the end of April. There's a lot of adjustments coming for Leo. There's a lot of lessons happening to Leo. There's a lot of letting go that's happening to Leo. It's not the same as it was even 2 years ago. And so with Leos, they're going to find that the most interesting people, not the people that they expect, but the most interesting faces and people are going to show up to kind of be navigators, the compass points for the actual life experience that they've got to go through, they're going to be there as mentors and guides and therapists and assistants to be able to let them realize, and this chapter of your life requires this. There's some new things that you're going to experience. You may get irritable, you may get impatient, you may feel some pain of some kind, but it's about the Leo saying, I must surrender to what my heart and my soul want to align with. So there's redirection in progress. There are new opportunities, but I feel like what's not going to be the win for you, Leo, is to fight it. It's not going to be the win for you to lash back with anger or to come at it with an arrogance or an impatience of like, I'll show you, I'll beat your ass, say it again. That's not, that aggressiveness isn't going to work, Leo. The first part of this year is Mars in Cancer. You've got to reach into your treasure trove of intuitive and spiritual and compassionate and empathic and wisdom skills. That's what's going to get you through it, Leo, with the less pain. So it's manifesting, but it's not so much about the material world. It's more about what's going on inside of me, what's going on with me that I'm so frustrated about or I'm so frightened about. And most Leos don't talk about what their insecurities or their fears are, but I do feel like it's going on already around them. So let's give our Leo tribe members, let's give our Leo brothers and sisters some support and some space. It's not easy for Leo right now. If you're a Virgo, career things are clearing up, manifested blessings are going to happen. The lunar nodes going into the south node, the dragon's tail going into Virgo, lets you stick to the point, stick to the main bullet points of what needs to go on. If there's something better waiting for you in the emotional, intimate department, let go of past grievances. Just close the door. Not even a reference point anymore. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, took it back, I'm out, mahalo. The focus, Virgo, if you get too caught up in your head, if you get too caught up in the analyzing, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And oh my God, what if that happens? The focus on perfection rather than healing. Allow yourself to be more present and in the moment instead of, well, I can only relax when I've got all the schedules worked out, and I can only relax when I've got all the finances worked out, and I can only relax if they do what they say they're going to do. Oh my God, what will I do if they don't do what they're part of the deal or what they say they're going to do? There's too much of that psychological drive and that mental analytical to where all of a sudden the wheels just stop because they got to have oil. And so then Virgo goes into escapism, or they got to take the Tylenol TM, or they got to take the Xanax, or they got to take the gummy. And I'm not saying anything about that is right or wrong, but the key word is then they got to take, then they got to do in order to get their own self back into alignment. So Cancer understands your resonation with being meticulous. The part of you that wants to step by step, slowly I turned, and this is what I'm doing what I said I would do. And the frustration for Virgo can be, I do what I say I'm going to do, or I don't commit to it, or I don't say I'm going to do it. And so their frustration is, really, I'm doing my part of the deal, and you're not only not following through with yours, but you're trying to control or clap back at me. So Virgo needs to step more out of the verbal and the psychological debate, because it's all head stuff and just words flowing around in circles, like a never-ending hamster on the wheel kind of a thing, and just get to the point, stick to the point, and say, I'm about to do step B. You're either with me or not. If you're Libra, and it's all about healing too. It's all about healing. If you're Libra, the Venus in Pisces is a glow up for you, Libra. It enhances your charm. It enhances your innate beauty. It enhances your diplomacy, your ability to negotiate it, your ability to use humor and grace with any kind of business transactions. It is a stable and more charming time with both home and work balance. I think it's about finding the balance right now. Cancer is one of the signs that challenges you, Libra. Both Cancer and Libra do not like to directly confront things. They don't. They'll clean up the mess. Once the cards are on the table, they'll see what the deal is, but they really don't like to go into with, well, let me tell you what's going to happen up in here. That's not the strategy or the style of the hostess with the mostess of Libra, or you're coming to the table to negotiate with the lawyers and the and the terms of the contract type of a thing. So with Libra, I would also say, since Cancer rules the past, leave your past alone, focus on the present and the beauty in your life. I do see more of a money boost for Libra. When I talk about the L team, there's two teams coming together in 2025. The A team, which is Aquarius and Aries signs, are going to be very compatible. And then when we get the Leo and the Libra factors going on, the L team and the A team, as we get into mid-year, Aries, Aquarius, Leo, and Libra have so much pressure and so much baggage off of them. Like, they not only unloaded their suitcase of the past, but they gave the suitcase away. It's like, I don't want this suitcase. I don't want to look at it and think about anywhere I went with it or how I got all packed up to the gills. If you're Scorpio, big money boost coming in for you, Scorpio, when number one, Mars and Cancer is very compatible for you, Scorpio. Venus in Pisces is. Saturn until it gets, out of Pisces. Neptune until it get out of Pisces. Got a lot of things going for you, Scorpio. Pisces and Scorpio have a lot of leeway right now. It's a financial boost. Mars retrograde brings monetary introspection. What do I want to put on my top three, priority list right now, and back off of that and delve more with this? It's a time of self-forgiveness. It's a time for emotional healing. Scorpios, you may be called upon to be the one that helps someone in need, that helps something in need. And it literally, when Nicole and I talk about shock and awe, it literally could be an animal that came out of nowhere. It could be someone's child that leans into you to listen to what advice you have to give to them. It could be the older person that was never a part of your life, and that you just find that there's a 2-month kind of visitation, or you run into them and maybe they're getting ready to leave the planet, but that you were an inspiration to them and you made them have a softer place to fall in the trials and tribulations they were currently going through. So Scorpios, you're going to kind of be put on point by Great Spirit to be the strength, or to be the one that can like lift somebody up, or you can be the one to kind of put the chair out in front of them, hold the door open, hand them the crutch, let them know they're not going to fall. Somehow I see Scorpio coming in to be a little earth angel type of an experience. So it's intense transformation as you get to the second half of the year. The North Node in Pisces will bless you every time you lean in with compassion and an openness to, what do you want me to do, Spirit? How much, God, do you want me to be involved with this project and that person? And when do I need to know to back up and let them take their own steps to complete this lesson or this saga? Sagittarius, we mentioned you back with Gemini. For you, Sagittarius, it's 8th house. Strong psychic time. Very powerful meditations and dreams. If you're doing anything to induce out of body or deeper meditation type of a thing, it's a kapow type of event. I mean, you will be transformed. It won't just be, I had too many glasses of wine, or boy, that was some incredible herb, or wow, that ceremony. It's like you may have been to ceremony before, you may have been high before, you may have tested the trip the light fantastic before, but there are transformative things happening for you, Sagittarius, in order to ready you for when the planetary changes are moving more into air and fire. So I would say that the keynote of 2025 for Sagittarius is early June. It's like there's so many things that if you just look back 6 months, you go, damn, I've traveled a long way in the last 6 months. So good fortune is swirling around you, Sagittarius. I like Jupiter's influence with you in the first half of this year. It's going to settle and reconcile a lot of relationships that were topsy-turvy over the last 3 to 4 years. I see reckonings, reconciliations. Certainly, even if you part ways with someone, there's going to be such a deeper understanding on both your parts. Dream big. I mean, this year starts with so many potentials of growth because you were able to put to rest the things that caused the deal to go sour, or you're coming back to the table again in the first half of 2025. Capricorn, at the beginning of the show, I told Nicole that I felt an extra tenderness around Capricorn with sadness and Leo with challenges. And even though it's the birthday cycle for Capricorn, and Happy New Year and happy solar return, your season right now means setting different ambitious goals. It's not just another year into your business, or another year in that house, or another year dealing with the same old with relatives, family members, extended family. No, this is, I'm going to nurture me through my relationships that matter. I'm going to allow significant changes and developments vis-a-vis the people or the avenues of interest that I have now. I've always done it that way. I'm going to shift and go into something that is a new path. You're going to set foundations for the year. Mercury entering into your sign is going to aid that. I mean, Mercury being able to dance in your sign in January gives you an acuity for clarity and getting the bigger picture right away. And I feel like that it has a lot to do with, you're going to spend money and invest time into breaking from the things that always kind of poke the tiger, that has to do with what was or what could have been. I see Capricorn emerging into really like a whole new life. I mean, like they're really going to change a lot of things, and it's going to be like, it's time for me. I've loved that person for a long time. I kept it on the down low. I kept that part of my authenticity a secret. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to embrace it. And if I get judged or the family goes, oh, how could you do that to the family? Well, kiss my grits. I got to go forward with me. I've done it that way for so long that now it's time that I break that addiction. I don't just want to continue a generational curse. I'm out to do, if anything, I'm going to do generational blessings, because I'm not just going to get the approval by doing it the way you did it. I'm going to do it my way. The old Frank Sinatra song, I did it my way. Aquarius, big wins in career, big wins. What you've educated, what you've studied, the whole Uranus factor of changing signs from Taurus into Gemini absolutely lights up your life and illuminates all kinds of possibilities. I believe it's bringing attention to your professional life and the goals of where you want to be the CEO, or you want to be the inventor, or you want to open up a whole new way of doing something that was once only traditionally that kind of way. It's like groundbreaking. It's like, I'm going to leave one country and go live in another country. I mean, there's a lot of things being shattered by Aquarian people. They were born in the U.S. and they're going to go live in Spain. They were born in China and they're going to go live in Hawaii. I mean, there's like this big things happening around Aquarius, especially for the next 2 years. Very, very strong. It's innovative. It's authentic. It's filled with integrity, and you're embracing your individuality. And I feel like it's a big year of risk taking, like actually not just sticking the big toe in the water, but just diving in. Aquarius is just going to be like, you kiss my grits, kiss my half. I'm going into this because I want to. I've got to be bold. I've got to be innovative. It's like first time I ever did this, first time I ever considered that, and they're going to follow it on through. There's a lot of follow through with Aquarius now, where it once was wishful thinking or hopeful manifest. Now they're actually going to participate. And finally, Pisces, what a powerful year that starts on January 11th as the North Node goes into your sign. The more that you lean into how spirituality is the guide of your life, how you put boots on the ground of, I'm going to be Jewish, I'm going to be Catholic, I'm going to be ceremonial, I'm going to be more with nature, I'm going to learn about herbs, I'm going to break this self-defeating habit, or I'm going to break over analyzing and doubting myself. What a breakthrough year for Pisces. I'm really impressed for what Pisces will come out of their shell with. And I like March into July. It's powerful times that might surprise a lot of people, just how far Pisces, they were kind of always predictable. They are always counted on. They'll always be there to do this, same schedule every week. Not this year. Pisces are going to be, I've got to go be a part of this missionary statement, where I feel like I'm needed at that women's shelter, or I feel like I want to go get on the board of an animal shelter, or I feel like I've got to get out there and make a difference with my life. I mean, it feels like they could really, and a lot of Pisces, it'll be a profound healing that you actually are able to experience or bear witness to, that totally changes what your participation is going forward for the next 7 years. I feel like this year, 2025, opens up what your soul mission is, And I feel like that I want you to lean into the messages, the themes of your dreams, your intuition. A lot of Pisces, I'd like to see you journal. I'd like you to see, light the candle, the fireplace, the campfire, take just a little pad of paper and write down what you feel, what you see. It may be you've been an author, you're writing books, and all of a sudden it's a movie script, or all of a sudden it's like you're going into theater. Instead of being the writer, you're going to be the actor or the actress, or dance or music. Like, I'm 45, I've never played that instrument before. I'm going to take this year and I'm going to learn how to play that instrument, or maybe some other kind of shock and awe. Signs and wonders of change happen. And because of something that leaves you or something that you've got to leave, it's like, it's nobody's fault. We're not blaming anybody, but because you actually shake yourself free of how you once allowed yourself to be confined, I feel like that breakout is your breakthrough. And you're not just going to repeat a pattern of changing partners or changing to a different job, same crap, just different players. I feel like that Pisces, by the time they get to mid-year, it's just like, I almost died. I got a miraculous healing. My life changes now. I want to really participate with life and let kindness be a guidepost for me. I want to get involved. I want to help others because I was blessed. Like, they didn't die in the car accident. They didn't die from the medical diagnosis. It's like, it's huge for Pisces how they're going to be out there being the counselors, the therapists, the ones that finally tell their story, do their testimony, bear witness to what went on with them, which is bold and courageous. And how many people will be saved and helped because of how they escaped what they had to go through, and the story that they tell actually ends up being ceremonial and spiritually and religiously profound for somebody else that they may never even meet. But because that person heard that story, listened to that podcast, watched that movie, listened to that testimony, heard you bear the raw, real details of all those things you kept inside and all those secrets that were so powerfully, profoundly limiting and affecting your personal life, and then the steps that you took to rise up and finally break out of some kind of self-contained prison is going to just be, we're going to hear a lot of that. We'll see a lot of famous Pisces people coming out as musicians and performers to say, yeah, it looks like it was an overnight success, but let me tell you something. Those overnight successes were years, were decades in the making, and often until we turned around and confronted our fears and faced off our demons and said, be gone. You have no power here anymore. That's it. You have no hold on me anymore. I'm free. And so it's that profound wake-up call. It's that profound, my eyes are opened. I see this in ways that I just didn't see what was going on around me. And you don't fault yourself. You don't blame another person. You just realize, that's done. Now I'm here. And now I'm going to go forth and do these wondrous things. So I'm pretty impressed with what we'll see in medicine and innovative healing. And I believe a lot of Aquarians, Leos, and Pisces will be at the forefront of these new healing techniques, these new medical applications. The fall of the insidious side, the negative side of Pisces is the insidious side of insurance companies and big pharma wanting to keep people sick because it makes them a lot of money, and not cure diseases or challenges because it makes them a lot of money, and they're the lobbyists in certain countries to get to the politicians. I see all of those dark, manipulative type of agendas in the big cartels of business falling to the ground, and that the people that are going to rise up, it's kind of like biblically where it says, and the meek shall inherit the earth. I see the healers and the holistic movement and the naturalists and the cleaning up of our food and crops and plants and the stopping of the mystery fogs and the chemical laden skies. And that whole clearing is going to be the Pisces Virgo dynamic that goes on in 2025. And I am welcoming it with open arms,
Yes.
and I'm giving thanks for that.
Yes. Amen to that. Amen to that. Because I completely agree. I think we're going to see radical changes within our healthcare systems, different kind of like how patients are treated in hospitals.
Yes.
Um, I think we're going to see dramatic prison reform coming
Yep.
in. And I really also this idea of plant medicine so that
Yep.
um, for instance, I really see, what's a really cool thing that I see coming up in the next 18 months is a lot of focus on the veterans, a lot of focus on getting them the help that they deserve, the healing, the medicine, especially because plant medicine is becoming such a breakthrough for a lot of
Thank God.
veterans. Yes. And I think, even what I really loved about one of Trump's messages is that, like changing how they're treated and what they're allotted. And I think some kind of potentially, I might be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but some kind of, I know, actually, no, this is something different, but like for instance, back pay for anyone who served their country, but then were asked to go on leave or were no longer able to work in the government if they didn't want to take the shot, right?
No, the
So
big farm, yeah, the big pharma mandates, absolutely.
yeah,
And look at Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's a January 17th, right knocking at the door of Aquarius. He's a January 17th Capricorn, and he's leading this for less chemicals in our food. The veterans, stop the pharmaceuticals, stop the hospitals and prisons as big business ships. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I'm really
Dictators.
excited for some of the change that's
I,
coming, but also we have to be prepared for like there is going to be some kind of resistance to that change. So
yeah, yeah.
just buckle in and basically let this full moon know that this is like, and like Mary said it, I am done. This is my breaking point. It's time for
Mm-hmm.
change, right?
I am
And
light. I am light. I am
yeah.
light. I am unified with the light. Just start that very small little discipline. What are you repeatedly saying after the words I am?
And not only that, I also challenge you all. I actually don't challenge you, I encourage you to be mindful of how you phrase things in this instance of, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And instead, turn it around and look at it as an opportunity and say, oh, I get to do this again because it's going to make me stronger or whatever. Like just instead of saying I have to, say I get to.
Yes.
Turn it into an opportunity, turn it into a means of making you stronger in some form or fashion. That's taking that Mars retrograde energy and instead of the action coming from a place of I'm being forced to or I have to, like truly coming from a place of I am choosing to look at this as an opportunity for change. And so I get to do this again, whether it's something that you've had to face several times in order to get it right, those lessons that
Right.
we love to come
Right.
against, right? But just look at it like, you know what? I get to become a master at this particular lesson because I'm doing it again. And who knows why you're becoming a master? Maybe it is to really help others when they hit that point in their life. So I think that can be a really helpful way of shifting your perspective in moving forward. So wonderful.
That's
Thank you,
very that's
Mary.
very well that's very well encapsulated, Nicole. We choose to, and in that mystery is so many different kinds of things. Pisces is also those mysterious, sometimes unseen, invisible, movable parts that are coming together to embrace our true hearts, our intentions. Maybe we don't say everything verbally, but how, as Nicole was stating, we begin to micromanage that automatic pilot of, well, what about this? Or what if that happens? Instead, we're saying, I've done it that way. I've gone to that avenue of, oh, now I have to do this. I've got to get this done. Instead, by shifting, like she said, to embrace the mystery and the mysterious seeds that will bloom and plant and bear fruit, viable fruit for us, body, soul, mind, body. as we come into March, April. This is that cycle right now. Kind of see yourself as a gardener. I get to plant prosperity seeds. I get to plant innovative mysteries that embrace me and bless me. I get to plant wonderful new methods of wellness. I get to plant creativity. Maybe we could be in the Northern Hemisphere some winter gardeners, and we're looking to, because what we plant in Capricorn is fully vibrant by the time we get to summer solstice, when we get to the time of Cancer the Crab. So 6 months from this full moon, 6 months, that'll fly by, people. 6 months from this moon, as we look at our ambitions, our intentions, and we kind of begin to embrace and enjoy with joy, embrace how mystery is going to bless us by us beginning to engage in a different kind of attitude and style of overcoming. As Nicole's point was, I get to do this. I'm breathing. I'm not suffering with a major illness. I get to do this. I get to make a choice to do an innovative dance in a different kind of creative way. I've always used to do it that way. Now I get to attempt to do it this way, and I'm going to test a new theory. That engages different types of mysterious prosperity that can come to you because you got curious and ambitious at the same time to allow spirit to be, and it already is, walking alongside you, but to give you different forms of favor. And gratitude, I think gratitude, the way that we express, even if it's silent, how grateful we are, the way that we embrace that and the way that we kind of rethink about that as we get up in the morning or before we close our eyes at night, grateful for the people that have entered our lives, grateful for the choices that we are able to make. Not everybody on this planet gets to have a choice at all. It's just they're in that kind of dictator prison, self-imposed or by extenuating circumstances. So let's be grateful for the choices that we get to make. I think that's what I would sign off with. Let's put more gratitude out there. And again, I'm going to say this for January. Please elevate kindness. Let kindness be king.
Yes. Make that a rule of thumb for the next at least 2 months.
Yeah, right. And I get to make positive changes with myself. I get to liberate myself. I get to take a vacation. I get to hold that person's hand. I get to tell that person, thank you. I think one of the coolest things I saw a couple of years ago on a New Year's Day card was, I just want to thank everybody that was a part of allowing me and making me smile in 2024. I want to thank you for the smiles that danced in my life because of you, who you are, and what you did.
I love that. All for
Thanks,
the small
Nicole.
things. Yes. Well,
Yep.
thank you, Mary, very much for spending your time here with us today to take us through. That was a very powerful broadcast for this full moon in Cancer, our first moon of 2025. So if you guys would like a year-long look at what's kind of ahead for you, what's especially with the nodal change, with the nodes going into Pisces and Virgo, what does that mean for you? Definitely look to book a session with Mary. I'm leaving all of her details below, but you can always reach her at her website, marydusina.com. And of course, if you would like to look at what your potential breakthrough is for this year, when it comes to your healing, I've always got my healing breakthrough available on my website. And again, to all those of you who may want to come to the 3-day 180 retreat, where we use the Forbidden Journey program to take you on a very deep exploration of your psyche to reveal to you the breakthroughs, the change, the transformation that you're capable of so that your life begins to unfold. Actually, while I'm on the topic, really quickly, let me just read to you a text I received from someone who was at one of the retreats, who just sent me a message on New Year's Day saying, Nicole, I had to send you a message to update you on how my life has continuously improved since the retreat. My intuition is so strong. I've never been more connected to the divine than I am at this moment. My life has taken a turn in such a direction I could barely even dream of before. Truly, the retreat was a gift that keeps on giving. And that could be the same for you. So So if you'd like to sign up for the retreat, I'm leaving the link in the description below. There's only a few tickets left. So definitely look to secure your spot. Mary, thanks so much for joining us. I love having you on the show. And
Thank you.
we will see you next time for our full moon in Leo.
In Leo, yeah. Leo, you're the star next month. You're the star. So hang in there, Leo. We love you. We love that you're our heart medicine, Leo. Nicole, thank you. Happy, blessed New Year to everybody. Allow it to be your dreams weaved into reality. Allow your own continents and your own footprints on this earth this year to be dynamic. Dance with chance. Embrace the changes and know that you're worth it. You are worth it.
Amen. Aho. And so with that, we love you guys, and we'll see you in a month with Mary Dusina once again. Thanks again for joining me for another show on the Enlighten Up podcast. I love you guys so much for all of your continued support. So remember to raise your vibe, find your tribe, and be open to the infinite possibilities held in the mysteries that surround us all. Thanks again for sharing the show with your family and friends. And if you're new to the show and you need to find out more information about me, please head on over to my website, NicoleFrolick.com, where you can join my newsletter. And please follow me on Instagram, Telegram, and YouTube. Keep your light bright, and I'll see you next week.